Buenos y Tubenas. Today on DOOP by the River, it is playoff time. Yes, sir. MLS Cup Playoffs are back. It's crazy. We got MLS Cup Playoffs after the year we had. We have playoffs finally. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to talk about everything Philadelphia and everything MLS Cup, and it's all coming up next here on DOOP by the River. And let's get this started. That is right. Welcome, everyone, to DOOP by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union, brought to you by Philly Sports Network. And before we move forward, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget, if you are listening on PSN Radio, make sure to stay tuned for more of us. And also, if you're watching this on El Parcero Philly's YouTube channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Help us keep moving forward. Yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Today, I am joined by my man, Mr. Justin Freiberg. Justin, what's going on, my man? How are we feeling today?
It's right off the international break. We got playing games tomorrow. It's a long holiday weekend of soccer, and
yes, the good stuff
I'm ready
happens
for
now.
it.
Absolutely. I can't wait, dude. We got great soccer coming up. We got playoffs, baby. Yes, sir. And of course,
Playoffs?
Yeah, exactly. Shouts to Jim Moore. The Philadelphia Union, they are the top guns in this playoffs. I don't know even how to feel. We're the number one seed overall. We got the supporter shield, so it should be a fun couple of weeks, guys, to say the least. Hopefully, we end with the couple. We won't jinx ourselves. Let's move. Let's focus on one game at a time. All right, before we dive into today's fun stuff, I just wanted to clarify something. I just wanted to talk about something really quick here. If you are active on Twitter and follow me on Twitter, I'm not going to get fully into today, what happened today, but there are some things were subtweeted, I guess we could say. And look, I just wanted to say, my Union family, they are like my blood. I understand what it means to support this club, and I understand people who go out their way and trying to bring relevancy to the Philadelphia Union. It means a lot to me. It really does. So, if you are a Union fan and you support the blue and gold, I love you. I genuinely do love you. Things were said, and I just wanted to say my comments today were not directed towards Keystone State Ultras. I got all my love and respect for those guys. I've stated that countless of times. Those guys bring passion to the Philadelphia Union, and at the end of the day, those guys support the Philadelphia Union like I do, like Justin does, and like everyone down at the SUB does. So they have my love and respect. And I just kind of wanted to, take this moment to reach out to Keystone State Ultras. Guys, listen, I know you guys haven't been on many podcasts, and I want to extend the invitation to you guys. You guys know that myself, even Tim's not on here today, but he will be back, guys. Don't you worry. But Tim has been a proud, he supported those guys as well. So we want to open the invitation, guys. We want to have you on. Whoever wants to hop on, we've got plenty of open slots here for Keystone State Ultra. So whoever wants to hop on, even Corey, I definitely would love to talk to Corey. I would love to pick his brain about the early days of the Union. But we want to open the invitation. So guys, if you're listening and you are part of Keystone State Ultras, or you know someone in Keystone State Ultras, please let them know about DOOP by the River and what we're talking about today, because we would love to have them on. We really would. It would be a great time. We'll talk about Keystone State Ultras, and we'll also talk about the Union. I want to get the Keystone State Ultra perspective of the Philadelphia Union. So I just wanted to put that out there. All right. Well, Justin, dude, let's start off today with talking about our Philadelphia Union, man. Because first off, accolades were given out for regular season awards by the MLS, and the Union, dude. I'm not used to this. I'm really not used to this. Like the Union, we had players all over in all these different categories. But first off, Justin, let's talk about the goalie of the year. And of course, that was Mr. Andre Blake. Despite what some of you Revs fans got to say out there, I got to put that out there.
I was looking at you, Orlando.
Or Orlando, yeah. They want to take it away from Andre. But
Mr. Gallese, El Pulpo. El Pulpo for the fourth, baby.
Justin, real quick, your thoughts on Andre winning goalie of the year? I mean, no surprise.
I mean, listen, I know, yeah, we're a Union podcast, and it's gonna sound biased, but statistically, Andre was the best goalie this year. He was the best goalie at MLS's back, and he kept it up going. He kept it going. I mean, listen, we all know last year, Andre was bad. Statistically, Andre was very bad. And after his 2016 goalkeeper of the year, he had a decent 2017, 2018. I mean, he had a decent couple years. Last year, I don't know what happened. It was a combination, I think, of injuries, of constant international call-ups. I think there was a lot that went into it. He just didn't have a great year. It was obvious, especially in the playoff win against Red Bull. It was clear he did not have a great year.
Mm-hmm.
And from all the stuff I've seen, I looked. Andre came back to Philly early this year. He worked with the goalkeeper coach, and he said, "I want to play better." And boy, did it show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my man looked like bat out of hell, was reacting to insane saves. Prime example, at New England, you win 2-1. Lee win in 85th, 86th minute, has a free kick right outside the box, thinks he has a goal. Andre comes out of nowhere, makes that typical save, and then you go, man, it must suck to play against Andre. Like that, like I said, the only time we ever felt like that was when Eloy Room shut down the Union in Columbus. Like, we don't know what it feels like to play against that kind of a goalkeeper, because we have that kind of goalkeeper.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, sir.
He I say this, he joins very illustrious company in his own countryman, Donovan Ricketts.
Yeah, dude.
Another Jamaican 2-time goalkeeper of the year.
Yes,
So he
sir.
joins very illustrious company within his own countryman.
Yes,
and
sir.
honestly, he deserved it.
Absolutely.
There was nothing like you couldn't. There really was no statistical or even anything you could say to go, Andre Blake doesn't deserve the goalkeeper of the year. You could say other guys may have a chance, but if Andre was only hurt for the last 2 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He had enough body of work to go, the man's gonna win the title, win the title regardless.
Oh yeah.
So I think it shows that, because he won the player vote, he won the club vote, he won the media vote.
Mm-hmm.
So it's clear again, which is why I'm glad that the fans don't vote for these awards, because as much as, trust me, I'd vote for Andre. You also got to look at, it's really not smart to give the fans input on this, because obviously they're going to be biased.
Yeah.
And we're here talking. We're a Union podcast. Of course, we're going to gush about Andre, but we're also soccer fans. We also got to be realistic, and the stats show Andre Blake was the best goalie by far this year. So I'm not surprised, but I'm glad, because he's finally recouping that form. And I say this, as much as I would love to keep Andre, I really hope he builds on this and then he can make a move to Europe. I would love to see Andre in Europe. I think he deserves that.
I really hope so. I really do. It just sucks, his age. That's always the one thing I feel like, if even a championship club would even take a flyer on an almost 30-year-old goalie.
I think with goalies, their late 20s, early 30s is actually they're getting into their primes. Goalies are positions that you can play. Look at a Brad Friedel, Casey Keller. These guys played into their 40s. Goalies play late, because goalie is a position that you can play late. And a lot of guys, they say, oh, mid-20s. Oh, he's still a young guy. Goalies develop later, and goalies play a lot longer. So
it's crazy.
You could see in a couple of years Andre making that move. I mean, I'd hate to see it, but you also love to see it.
Hey, if that happens, I feel confident with Matt Freese after what I've been seeing from Mr. Matt Freese. Absolutely. All right. Well, Justin, next up, not only do we win Goalie of the Year, but we had the MLS Coach of the Year, Mr. Jim Kirchin, my guy. Look, Justin, I don't know anyone deserves an accolade like this, like Jim Kirchin. What he has had to put up with in his 5 years as a manager. They actually made a hashtag Kirchin out for him. And my guy is now MLS Coach of the Year. And it is no hoax. What he has done with this Philadelphia Union, they have generally improved little by little since he's taken over for the Philadelphia Union. And now This team is one of the most respected clubs in America, ladies and gentlemen. And that has a lot to do with Jim's leadership. And I don't know anyone else deserves this more than Jim Kirchin. I'm so happy for him, dude. So happy.
100%. I mean, I'm gonna say first, shouts to one of my favorite pods and my guys, the Cooligans.
Hey.
Jim Curtin's everyone's homie right now. I mean, again, the man, as Alexa, the man wore unreleased Yeezys on the sideline. Our
Dude.
man has got some style.
He's the Kyle Shanahan of the MLS. Like, let's face it.
Oh my God, he's the guy he's the hip young guy in the league, and Jim knows how to rock. Whether it's the brown shoes, because when the fans are there, he wears the blue suit with the brown shoes. This year, he's been rocking the shirt.
Jim's got the clean look though. It's just very clean.
As Alexis said, it's very Fishtown hipsterish, but I'm here for it. I mean, my guy.
He's here for it because it reminds him of Brooklyn.
I was gonna say, anything Alexis reminded him of Brooklyn, that's how it's gonna work. But listen, Jim is as Philly as you can get. He grew up here. He knows what it means to be a Philly fan. He knows what it means to have. Listen. He played under Bob Bradley, arguably, one of the best coaches in American history. There's really no question about that.
Absolutely.
He is the one of the Andy Reid of soccer coaching, because you look at
100%.
his tree, him and Bruce Arena. You look at their coaching trees. You have some of the best coaches across the world.
Jim Curtin, well himself.
100%. Jim Curtin. I mean, listen. A few years ago, I'll admit, I wasn't one of the people who said fire Curtin, but I was looking and going, what have we accomplished? Like, I know we had gotten better in points, but we're still losing in the key games. We still haven't won any silverware. And listen, this season, losing at Dallas, you're going, oh boy, what are we doing? And then a wild 3-3 game.
Yeah, and you even mentioned, dude, we were absolutely garbage out in the West Coast. And then that match happens, and I know we didn't get to play more games out in the West Coast, but I've never seen the Union put up a performance like that over on that side of the country.
I mean, I'm sorry, Jacob Glesnes with potentially the goal of the year with a 45-yard bomb. I mean, I watched that video over and over again.
Can he play for the Eagles?
Yeah, I'll say. And Stu Holden goes, I think he's gonna take it. They can't believe he's going for the kick, and then he blasts it, and it's like that. I mean, that just goes to show, Jim believes in his guys.
Yeah,
and he has shown that the entire year. He's shown that through everything. He knows what he's doing. Even when we go, well, wait a minute, Jim, why'd you only make a couple subs here? Why'd you make a couple subs there? Doesn't matter. All I know is the Union knew what they had with Jim. Mm-hmm. He's been through several sporting directors, and there's been a ton of overchange in the team. But the one constant has been Jim has improved the squad over and over and over and over. With the limited funds he has, he's taken it and he's run with it. Mm-hmm. And this year is a culmination of everything. And listen, Jim may not, his tactics are decent, but what he is and what you want from a coach is you want a guy who is a good man manager, a guy who is going to help, corral some big personalities and mix young guys and mix it into where they can mesh and mesh very
and gain chemistry together.
Exactly. And it's shown that to be honest, he's probably one of the best American coaches right now as a hot commodity.
Yeah.
And they're already talking about, some of the assistants like Pat. Jim said he doesn't expect all of his staff to be around next season. Pat Noonan is already being looked at for several head coaching jobs. And I know we've been saying this, but
And that will be the real challenge for him because and Doug Peterson's going through the same issues right now. How do you replace assistants? That is the key as a coach. You got to create a culture, and I think
I
that
will
he's got
say
that.
Jim has been pretty good about. I mean, he's gone through a lot of, especially over the years. He's been through a lot of. I mean, Mike Sorber was a prime example. He went to LAFC. Was one of his best assistant coaches. The real question is, at what point does Jim get poached? Because I know he says he loves it, but my man is going to continue to be a hot commodity if he can keep up a level. I'm not saying we have to win supporter shield every year. God, that's unsustainable at any level. But in a couple of years, look at Leko Panovich. Right now is leading one of the top teams in the championship right now.
Yeah.
You're telling me Jim couldn't get a championship team and go, hey, we got the funds, we got some decent players, we got some young players, we can potentially make a Premier League run.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but and even Jesse Marsh as well. If those two guys, keep performing, that's going to help MLS coaches.
Exactly. And I mean, Jesse Marsh is a prime example. Jesse Marsh and Jim are the closest of friends. They played together. And I listened to, Football with Grant Wall, and he had Jesse on there. Him and Jesse are good friends. And he said, Jim is one of the next coaches I see coming over here. He's one of the best coaches right now one of the best American coaches right now. And I think as you start to see more success with American coaches overseas, I think more teams are going to be willing to push the envelope and get these guys. And
absolutely,
I think Jim could do a championship club, or even go to Belgium or the Netherlands or mid-table. Like, Jim could have his pick. And I think you're going to see that, where you're going to have him potentially getting poached. And again, as much as it would suck, and he's a Philly guy through and through, I hope that for Jim, because he honestly deserves it. Coach of the year. I think this really could be a defining moment for his coaching career.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. Next up, we got Mark Mckenzie finishing second to Walker Zimmerman in the Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, this is interesting because Justin and I believe Mark got robbed. Now, I saw a Mark Mckenzie who was absolutely dominant this year. I can't think of the one game where he had a couple blunders, but dude, all season long he was solid. And then a nice goal against DC United. He's getting these rumors to Celtic and other Premier League clubs. Listen, no diss to Zimmerman. He's done a fantastic job, and he's been one of the imprint. He's been one of the crucial members of the imprint of Nashville. They're a tough team, and he's one of the main reasons. And he really bounced back after what happened to him in LAFC. But I think that Mckenzie should have won this award. I mean, I'm not going to complain it too much too, because we got Andre and Jim winning awards here. But that's just me. I thought Mark was the best defender in the MLS in 2020.
No, I think. Listen, does it suck that Mark finished second? Yes, but I look at it from the perspective of, realistically, say a couple months ago, Mark was looked at as being third in these guys. I mean, Walker Zimmerman. Listen, I'm going to be pretty honest. Mark did win the player vote, so the players thought that Mark was the best by far, but the club and media vote went to Walker. And you got to look at it from the perspective of, it's an expansion franchise. He's from that area. He helped anchor. I mean, listen, they didn't score a ton of goals. Man, they gave up almost no goals. I mean, they were a lockdown defense, and Walker Zimmerman was a big part of that. And I think, as much as I say it sucks, I think Zimmerman deserved it. And I'll shouts out to Walker Zimmerman. I think he's gonna be a cornerstone of the Nashville franchise for years to come. But I look at Mark finishing second as almost kind of a positive, because again, Columbus from MLS's back, they faded. I mean, they faded pretty hard. They started off a little strong, but they faded very fast. Mensah got exposed. I think he's still a solid defender, but I think he kind of got exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Mark just kept improving. His stock kept rising.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong. I think he could have had a shot to to surpass Zimmerman. But I think the fact that Nashville finished at the 7th spot kind of locked it in. Like if Nashville had been like 9, you could have said maybe like I would have given Mark said, okay, Mark might have gotten robbed a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a good sign because you're gonna look at this and go, well, I mean, it's clear that Mark Mckenzie is top 5 center back in this league based on the voting here. I don't see why, again, it's why, Brendan's not going to be may not be the only Union player to leave this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark's definitely going to have a lot of suitors. And I think this firmly cements that. And I think it's showing that what we all knew for the last few seasons, that Mark is an elite caliber center back and will have the potential to potentially be, I think, honestly, a starter for the U.S. men's national team.
Absolutely. I hope so. You know me. I hope so. All right. Well, that leaves us here with the MVP race that has not been announced yet. But, guys, again, we got another Union player as one of the finalists for the Landon Donovan Most Valuable Player. Andre Blake is one of them, as I said. We also have Nicholas Lodero, Jordan Morris, Alejandro Pozuelo, Diego Rossi. Now, Justin, what I'm going to ask you is flat out, who do you think wins this award?
Realistically, I think it's Pozuelo. I think Lodero and Morris, I think, cannibalize votes from their own fan base. When you have more than one player for a team, they're gonna take votes from each other. I think it's gonna be a toss up. I think Diego Rossi was either going to win Young Player of the Year or going to win MVP. I don't think he'd win both. I mean, Pozuelo by far. Let's be honest. Without Pozuelo, Toronto they're still making the playoffs, but they might even sink to like 6th. I don't think they would have been even remotely in the Supporter Shield race had Pozuelo not been there. That team was not looking good. He's the only thing that kept them remotely afloat.
It's true.
So I think that's what defines an MVP, and I think honestly, I think he'll win by a landslide. I don't think it'll be close.
Damn, man. Goddamn. I unfortunately agree with you. Even though I don't think that he was the most valuable player, it's going to be tough with Loletto and Jordan Morris, but that attack was disgusting this season for Seattle. And Diego Rossi, I think he was the most valuable player, but again, I don't think they'll give him that award too. So I think that Pozuelo is obviously a talented player playing for the second seeded in the Eastern Conference Toronto FC. So I think that they're just going to wind up giving it to him. But you know me, man, I would love to see Andre Blake win it. But I mean, if I look back and I think about, obviously, there's only been one other goalie to win the award, Tony Meola, and dude, that guy was he. Andre Blake is a wall. Tony Meola was like beyond a brick wall. Like I don't even know how to describe.
Meola was out of his mind.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. It was ridiculous, but it's in fact the matter is it's going to go to an attacker, and more likely I think it's going to come down to Pozuelos or Rossi, and I think at the end of the day Pozuelos will win the MVP award. But hey, like I said, Andre wins the goalie of the year. Jim wins Coach of the Year. Mark finished second in Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think we can, and Andre is one of the finals for MVP. I don't think we can be too mad about that.
No, not at all.
Not at all. All right, well, let's move on here. Justin, we got a rumor. More rumors here. We were, going through the Brendan Aarons and stuff. We weren't sure if Mark was going to leave. Kai Wagner has been heavy on the rumorville. Now, look, guys, I don't know how much we should be believing these rumors, but the fact of the matter is the rumor is that two or a couple Premier League clubs and Bundesliga clubs have been looking at Kai Wagner, with West Ham and Fulham being the two teams that are predominantly, being put out there in that rumor. And right now, what it looks like, Kai Wagner is going to be bought for a transfer fee for around 3.5 million euros, or if you're looking at dollars, that would be $4.1 million. Look, again, I don't know how real these rumors are. I do believe that Kai Wagner is getting interest from European clubs. Me personally, I think clubs that are in the lower level Premier League, like higher level Championship, or lower level Bundesliga, higher level Bundesliga 2 clubs are the type of clubs that are looking at Kai Wagner. But the fact of the matter, the guy has been impressive in his 2 years in the MLS. He's done what he's had to do, and he is the prototypical type of fullback that teams want in today's day and age of world soccer. So, real quick, Justin, what are your thoughts on these rumors? You buying these? You buying this? He going to the Prem?
So, so I know we talked about this. Listen, the rumors came from the Daily Mail, and as I'm sure Liam or any British person could tell you, it's a bit of a rag. You got to take their rumors with a grain of salt, and trust me, I've seen countless rumors over the years. Some of them come out of nowhere and they're nothing. So you got to kind of sift through it. Now, do I believe he has European, prospects? 100%. I mean, we plucked him out of the third division in Germany. Guy who was, again, not that he was a bad player, but no one knew about him. A couple of years, and he's arguably one of the best left backs in the league. I mean,
exactly.
I think could be the top one, depending on how you're looking at it. Now, we talked about this. I don't think Fulham would make sense simply because they just signed Anthony Robinson in the offseason, and they have Joe Bryant. I think have a third center left back in there would kind of would make no sense. At least for me, would make no sense. West Ham is an interesting one because they have played in a back three, but they do have Cresswell as a left back. So if Cresswell would play as a left-sided center back and a back three, I could see Kai as a wing back. But I could also see him in a mid-table Bundesliga club. I mean, an Eintracht Frankfurt, a Mönchengladbach, maybe even a Union Berlin. I mean, teams that are going to have a counter team because Kai is good on both sides of the field. He's great in possession. He's quick enough defensively, and he can bomb it up the wing and has a good cross on the attacking side. So I definitely see him leaving. Now, as for the price, I mean, obviously that's up for debate. If we got $4 million for him, that would
be nice.
6. I mean, come on, 6 for Brendan plus potential 3 plus 4 plus what potentially where we get if Mark gets sold. I mean, you're talking potentially up to like 15, maybe between the, like $10 to $15 million for 3 players. I mean, that's mind blowing. Potentially up to 15 to 20. I mean, you're talking levels that even 2-3 years ago we're not going to sell players for that much. Even in players that we buy, like it's mind blowing. So I honestly believed Kai could go this offseason. And I think with Matty Real in the wings, I'm not 100% worried. Again, Ray being a dual-sided guy, and you have Nate Harriel coming in right back. You have Bizo. So you have these guys that can kind of so we might have a step down, but overall, as long as you have balance on both sides of the field, you're fine. So as much as it would suck for Kai to go, the money, for non-homegrowns, you get 95% of those transfer fees now.
Hey,
you're still getting a good chunk of change.
Yes, sir.
With that sale. So honestly, I could see it. I definitely put a little bit of stock into those rumors.
Absolutely. We're going to sell all these players, and we're going to buy Hulk for Union Hulk. So don't worry, Union Hulk. We're going to get your Brazilian DP.
I was going to say, we got to, listen, he'd be on a free transfer. We just got to pay that salary.
Hey,
and
there you go.
However many PBR and poppers we have to buy for Hulky.
It's going to be great time. Listen, I think, again, I do think that Kai, these rumors to Europe are real. I don't know if it is West Ham or Fulham. But look, I think he is good enough to play in those type of leagues. Like, believe it or not, guys, the MLS is improving his style, and he's playing on the best MLS team. So I wouldn't be mad if we get this sale done, and we have Matt Real, like Justin says. So, guys, salivate at this era of youth soccer. This is beautiful stuff we are seeing here. I never would have thought we would have seen this day, but good stuff. All right, well, guys, listen. The MLS Cup Playoffs starts on Friday the 20th. And I'm so excited, guys. After the year we've had, It is so good to say that we have playoffs, baby. Yes, sir.
Playoffs.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. In the words of Jim Moore, we got playoffs. All right. So what Justin and I figured to do, like, let's run through this bracket because this is a juicy ass bracket. And MLS Cup playoffs to me, I remember growing up and there was always the March Madness bracket. And I would always wait till that day on March and I would want to fill it out. Well, this to me, guys, is now that March Madness bracket. I want to fill out this bracket and I want to make sure that I get upset in the first round, right? Because that could happen, guys. That could happen. So what we're gonna do, Justin and I are gonna go through each matchup. We're gonna give you our predictions, and we are going to give you our winner of the MLS Cup in 2020. Justin, are you ready?
Let's bring it on.
Let's freaking do this. All right, so we're gonna start with the two Eastern Conference playoff playing games. I'm sorry, and the first one is going to be on Friday afternoon. I should probably say 6:30 p.m. We got the number 8 seeded New England Revolution with facing off against the number 9 Montreal Impact. Justin, I'll let you start off first. Who wins the battle of the Maple Syrup Derby in the playoffs?
Um, I mean, they did face earlier off in the year, and Montreal did win.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be a very ugly game.
Oh yeah, this will be some bad blood too.
It's gonna be. Come on, beat Thierry Henry and Bruce Arena. Nah, there's not gonna be that blood. What are you talking about? I think Montreal has a bit more on the wings, and I think Boyan is gonna do enough to snuff something out. Maybe even Romeo Kyoto. You know what? Give me a 2-1 game, and I'm taking the upset. I'm taking Montreal here.
The Montreal Impact. Justin's got Montreal. I guess kind of an upset, right?
Kind of.
Kind of. All right. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. I think Montreal's built for a tournament. We saw what they did in CONCACAF Champions League, and that was like the first couple of months that Thierry Henry took over, and then they go into this big tournament, and they did a little bit. They really did a little bit, and they are built for this type of game. But I just think that New England, they are a good team. From even despite what we've seen them against us, I do think that they are a good team. Carles Gil has had a couple matches now under his belt. We'll see what he looks like in the playoffs, but I agree with Justin that I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be a low score. It could be very well 2-1. I think it's actually going to be a 1-0 game. I think it's going to be like that, like a 10. And the goal's going to come like in the 80th, sometime between 80th or 90th minute. And I think New England is going to win. I think it's because I want to see New England. The next again.
You want to see him for a 6th time,
oh,
Johnny?
hell yeah! All the crap that Bruce Arena and that fan base is talking, give me them again so I can beat that ass again. Come on.
I mean, come on, John. I talked to Allie at the Captain Morgan, event, digital event Tuesday, and I went, Allie, how much was it? Face New England. He goes, man, after like the 3rd time, he said it just got a little weird.
Come on. It really is. It's like I don't understand baseball how they do it. Like sometimes they'll have like home and away like a series, and like you see team like like the Phillies this year like was a perfect example. All those postponements. I think they saw like what was the Mets like 5 straight days. Like, dude, that's fucking weird. That definitely is. I feel him on that. All right. Let's move on here. All right, so Justin's got Montreal moving on. I got New England. Let's move on to the 9:00 game. This one is I think this one's better than the New England Montreal game. So we got the 7th seed Nashville SC facing off against Inter Miami. Both expansion clubs in their first ever playoff game facing off against each other. What else can you ask for from the MLS here? I'll start off here with this one. Look, Nashville's got this grit and grind style of soccer that I love being from Philly. I love that type of style. And Inter Miami have the stars, right? They got Gonzalo Higuain. They got Rodolfo Pizarro. They have Blase Matuidi, right? I guess LGP if you want to throw him in there. But
they got Lord Helmet. They got our boy J-Mac.
Oh man, Union fans don't want to see him again. All right, so this matchup here, this is so tough for me to pick here, but I am actually going to go with Nashville. I genuinely think this style of buying like old European players is only good for one reason: putting butts in seats. Unfortunately, Miami can't put butts in seats because of a virus called the coronavirus, right? So I think,
It's MLS. It's MLS like 1.0, the Beckham
yeah,
model. Like
exactly, dude.
it's not sustainable.
It's cool. You have Higuain and you have Matuidi in the end of the career, but you realize that is the reason why we still get clowned, because we still are signing players like that. Whatever. It is what it is. I think Nashville's going to win this game. And I'm sorry, I have a lot of buddies down in Miami and are big into Miami fans, but I just think that Nashville is built for this moment here. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think it's going to be. Listen, it's. I said New England was going to be an ugly game with Nashville. This will be a grind out, a drag out, beat 'em up kind of a game. This is where I see a 1-0 game. And man, I see Nashville getting an ugly goal. I see Nashville winning. I just think, listen, Miami's lucky they got in. I mean, there's 10 teams in the East. It just amazed me that there were that many teams in the East getting in. I mean, Nashville would have gotten in even if there wasn't, if there were no more 7 teams, they would have gotten in.
Yeah.
I see Nashville getting, like I said, a 1-0 result. Very ugly game, but that's Nashville's bread and butter.
Yeah.
And I see them moving on.
How many does Higuain get a yellow card or a red card?
I think it's late. I think he gets another, like, he gets a late red card. And I think it's one of those he does his little he thinks he's in Serie A and goes,
tantrums,
hey, does a little cup tan and goes, and the ref just goes, all right, you're done.
Dude, he's been long gone since those Napoli days. He really is a hated guy. All right, let's long gone. All right, so I guess let's move into the first round. So obviously, I have New England facing off against us, and I'm not even gonna break it down. We're beating New England. I'm not even gonna explain. We're beating New England. Like, we're not losing ever to New England. Maybe next year, but not this year. We're beating New England. All right, so if it goes to status quo, you believe that the Union will face off against Montreal Impact. Do the Union beat Terry Henry in the Impact?
Yep. That's it. We win.
That's it. We're on to the next game.
Yeah, right. On the next round. I mean, I'm not sweating the first round game. I mean, come on, let's be honest here.
Yes, but the Union should. They should not be complacent.
They're gonna gloss over them, but they'll win.
Yes, beat them down. Put them in the dirt. All right. Next game, we got Orlando facing off against NYCFC. I'll let you start off with this one.
See, this one I've been playing in my head over and over and over again when I realized that in the bracket that we were going to have to face off against one of these two teams.
I know, it's tough, dude.
Despite the season that Orlando's had, and God, it makes me sick saying this, and I keep on saying this. Alexis and Christian would love for me to say this. I think NYCFC is gonna win.
Really? You got NYCFC winning?
Yeah.
Wow. That would be an upset.
It pains me to say it, but
what do you see that makes you go NYC?
So I think it's the
Aren't they still at Madrita too?
No, he's in Saudi Arabia.
He left?
Yeah, he's on loan. He's on loan technically for like 2 years.
All right, well, there we go. Okay, so that should tell you how much I know about NYCFC this season. All right. Okay, so that's interesting. You got NYCFC. Look, I despite my displeasure for NYCFC, I would like to see them. I think I want to see more Orlando, and I think that Orlando will get this win. I really am. I'm not a big fan of the Orlando team, but Oscar Pareja needs more loving. Now, I think Jim Kirchin was the coach of the year. Like, let's not get that twisted.
Yeah, agreed.
What Pareja has done for Orlando this season is spectacular. It's honestly spectacular. He got them to freaking win and play a style of soccer. I think that they are going to win, and it's going to be interesting. Besides Lions and Pod, because we love Lions and Pod here on DOOP by the River, but Orlando fans have been talking a little bit too much. And for my
they always talk too much. Come on.
I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. But okay, so Justin's got NYC. I got Orlando. Let's move on to the 3-6 matchup, which should be interesting. We got the Columbus Crew facing off against that energy drink team from North Jersey, who have their new manager.
Well, I was a little surprised about that.
That's interesting, yeah, because this is his first match, and you're putting him in the playoffs. So I hope that pans out for them. But what do you see here against Columbus and the Red Bull?
I mean, normally, in past years, Red Bull has upset since Columbus, but this was also in a aggregate, 2-leg system. Listen, I think going to Columbus is always a tough task.
Yeah.
I can't see, as much as a fight as Red Bull is going to put up, I think it's a 2-1 game. I can't. I got to go with Columbus. I can't see, as much as I wouldn't mind an upset. I just don't think it's going to happen. Realistically, I just don't think it's going to happen. I think Columbus is just too complete of a team for the Red Bulls to take down. It's going to be a close game regardless, but I think Columbus wins.
Yeah, I just think that, I've said it countless of times. This was my dark horse team going. I'm talking about Columbus. Was my dark horse team going into the season, and I still think that they could be one of those teams to be, representing the Eastern Conference in the MLS Cup Finals. I think that they take care of business against this Red Bull team. I think the Red Bull will do whatever they can to stay alive. I think it'll be like a 3-2 game, but I think Columbus at the end.
Wow, that's high scoring for.
Yeah, and dude, don't forget that Caden Clark kid is freaking ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And you know what, the Red Bull, I will give them credit. Like they show at times they show that they are a hardworking team, and you shouldn't sleep on them. But look, I don't think they can outlast Columbus for sure. They can't. All right, let's move on to the next game. We got the 2 versus going to be the 7. We both have Nashville moving on, so we got Toronto facing off against Nashville. I just think Nashville's going to give Toronto a game. But I think that Toronto, with their veteran leadership, and I think that they're going to be hungry as well. They kind of stumbled to the finish line for the regular season. And, Toronto's made for this time of year. When it comes playoff time, single elimination, those guys show up, and they buckle up their boots, and they show up to play. I got Toronto winning. It's going to be like, it'll be like 1-1 up until like the 75th minute. And then Toronto, you know how Toronto is. Last 15 minutes, will score 2 goals, and they'll win 3-1.
Yeah, I see Toronto winning. I see 2-0. I think it'll be 1-0. It'll be like an early goal, and then Nashville have a few chances, and then Toronto will seal it late with like an 85th minute.
So they're so they're still going to use Connecticut's field, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Damn, that's going to be weird.
Weird field, but I mean, hey, it's some kind of.
Wait, so hypothetically, if Toronto goes all the way, we're going to play an MLS Cup final in a rinky-dink college football stadium?
Depending on,
I really hope that that's not the case.
Well, I think it's a point per game, but I think potentially if they were the higher seed in the entire MLS, potentially you could have it on Rachel Field. So I hate to say it, but potentially.
It is a topic for another podcast, but I think the MLS needs to do neutral sites like the NFL does. Just do a neutral site. Make it a party. Make it profit out of that. That should be like a week of soccer fans just flying down, and you can eventually make it like that. I want.
But I mean the best team hosting is not necessarily a bad thing either.
I know, I get it, but I just think that I don't know. I want the MLS to be a juggernaut. I just seeing what the other leagues are doing, but we'll see. We'll see. That one day. All right. Let's go look at let's finish the Eastern Conference and we'll go into the Western Conference. All right. So the conference semifinals here. So I have Philadelphia and Orlando. You have Philadelphia and NYC. Philly and Orlando, this is where it starts getting tricky. Now, this is the matchup everyone's been waiting to see. We have yet to face off against Orlando since we did in Orlando for the MLS Impact
1-1.
Yes, that was a great game too, honestly. So this is going to be really interesting. Oh man, I can't even tell you, dude. I want to go Union. You know damn well I want to go Union, but this is going to be so hard because I like something about Pareja and this Orlando City team. Like they are just like on another level.
But
It's
Union
going.
at home though, like that's the biggest thing.
You read my
Union at
mind.
home.
You read my mind. That was my next point. Union at home is going to be different. It's just something about playing at the Soo, the Union, and that's why I'm so happy they locked up not only the number one seed but Supporter Shield, because playing at home is a completely different story. If this was on a neutral site, I would not like the Union at all. But since we are at home, I got the Union winning this game 2-1 to go to our very first conference finals. Philadelphia Union and NYCFC. What do you got?
I think it'll be a tough game. I think Valentin Castellanos,
Oh, don't even say that name.
the
I hate that guy.
the Academy Award winner that he is around the
Oh my
block.
god, dude.
The man, I mean, my disdain for that man has not been well hidden. In fact, I make it pretty obvious that
Yes, me too.
I can't stand that diver. I think again, whether it's Orlando or NYCFC, on a neutral site or away, I'd legitimately be concerned. I think the Union away is always a tough situation. But the nice thing about being the number one seed is you're home throughout the entire conference. If you're winning, you're at home. And the Union were 8-0 at the Soob. You didn't lose. You didn't lose at the Soob. I mean, you have the confidence of playing at home. Even when you haven't played great, you've gotten out the results. I think with an NYCFC team that they might squeak by Orlando, I'm actually thinking a 3-1 result here. I think the Union exercise their demons. They might not be playing at whatever you call Yankee Stadium, but they're exercising their demons in NYCFC over the last few years, and they tell Ronnie Dyla and Valentin Castellanos, get your butts back up to Brooklyn.
Get your butts in actual stadium. How about that?
Maybe when they get messy.
Keep dreaming, NYC. Keep dreaming. All right, let's move on to the other conference semi. This is a good one, dude. Get your popcorn ready for this one. Columbus and Toronto. Sign me the F up, dude. I'm gonna go Columbus on this one. I think this is gonna be a super entertaining match from start to finish. Everything you can ask for from a grit and grind playoff game in the MLS. But I told you, I thought this is a Columbus team that was a dark horse for me in the beginning of the season. I still believe it now. They could be a dark horse to make it to the MLS Cup Finals. And I think that with Caleb Porter and some of the pieces they have, Lucas Elround is really the difference maker. I got Columbus beating Toronto FC.
I had to think about it because initially off the bat, before you even said anything, I was like, you know what? I'm going Toronto. But then I thought about it. You made some good points. I think normally I'd say Toronto at home. If this is at BMO Field, I'd say Toronto. But thought about Columbus this year. They may have stumbled over the last few months, but with a healthy Zelarayan, a healthy Nagbe,
Nagbe's missed the playoffs too.
I think I'm calling a 1-0 result. It's gonna be an ugly one.
Yeah, I think so.
But you know what? Give me Columbus too. I'm feeling it, Johnny. I'm feeling the vibe you're putting down here.
You know why we're feeling Columbus? Because who beat us not once but twice over there in Columbus? Yes, the Columbus Crew. And in the conference finals, we got the Philadelphia Union facing off against the Columbus Crew for the rights to go to the MLS Cup Finals. Ladies and gentlemen, I want this moment. I want the conference finals to be our Union facing off against those Crew. And we can take it to them because you know why? We're not in Columbus. We're in Chester, Pennsylvania. We're going to take it to the Crew. We're going to win 4-1, baby. Let's go. Bring it home. Let's go. What do you got?
Wow, that's bold, Johnny. I mean, don't get me wrong. I got the Union winning too, but I'm thinking like 2-0. Like 2-0 is a reasonable. I'll take that kind of result.
But think about it.
4-1. 4-1 would be fantastic.
Jim in that dressing room is going to be like, you remember what they did to us? And then those guys are just going to run out the pitch and they're going to bring it to Columbus.
Don't get me wrong, it's going to be tough, but again, Union, I mean, again, if either of those games against Columbus had been at home, I think you split the season series.
All right.
No question. Why we played both in Columbus? I've said this on previous pods. I don't get it. Makes no damn sense. It happened. But you know what? Columbus ain't winning crap on here. Philly all the way.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. All right. Well, so we got the Union in the MLS Cup Finals as the Eastern Conference representative. Let's move on to the Western Conference now. Both of you and I, you actually watch a lot more Western Conference than I do. But listen, Western Conference, no matter what year it is always a gauntlet. And this year, it is. It really is. You got some good matchups here. Let's start off with the first one, November 22nd, my brother's birthday, 4:00. I will be missing it, but SKC facing off against the San Jose Earthquakes. Oh man, I would love for Matisse Almeida to pull an upset and the style play that the Earthquakes play, that they can actually do it. But I think a factor here, SKC is going to show at San Jose why they need to spend money. I really think San Jose messed up in not spending the money on Pulido, Almeida's guy, and SKC is going to show them why they should have spent that money. I got SKC winning this game here. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I am genuinely amazed that as much as everyone, myself included, ragged on San Jose this year, they made the playoffs. I mean, man,
Yeah.
I mean, Almeida was quote
He's a good
unquote on
coach,
a
dude.
hot seat, but he pulled something out of that out of out of his chimichurri marinade bag. I know the man can grill a mean steak. I've seen the videos.
Yes.
The man knows how to cook some good meat. Now is he gonna cook his way to an upset? No. I think realistically, I think you're gonna see SKC is gonna show San Jose men marking only works so well. I'm thinking 3-1 SKC.
I just want to point this out real quick because you know I love when people hate on our league, and don't you find it funny, Justin, that two of the most decorated managers in the Argentine league over the past decade, in Matisse Almeida and Guillermo Barrios Scalotto, have struggled in the MLS. Isn't that really telling?
I think people think that success worldwide automatically means success here, and as a lot of coaches will tell you, that's not always the case.
You shouldn't this is my point here. Don't underestimate us. Do not underestimate our league. This is not as easy as people think it is. It really is not, especially in 2020. Especially. All right, Justin, let's move on to the next matchup that day. We got the 4-5 match. Minnesota facing off against Colorado somehow, some way. COVID's way, Colorado made it into the playoffs. It's crazy. We were talking about a month ago whether Colorado should even forfeit this rest of the season, and here they are as the 5th seed in the playoffs. But do they have anything as far as trying to make an upset here, Justin?
You know what? I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I would have initially. I would have
Ty
said
Kamara
no.
going up against his former team too.
Yeah, I would have said no, but I mean, after the whole situation with Colorado basically making the supporter shield points per game, I think they've started to play pretty well. I mean, they've got Diego Rubio is a decent striker, Andre Nishiki, Cole Bassett, Jack Price. I mean, they have a decent core.
Mm-hmm.
I think Minnesota, I don't know. If they had fans, I'd say I'd be a little more concerned. I think you're talking a 2-1 game, but I'm seeing Colorado pulling the upset here.
Okay, got Colorado with the upset here. This one's going to be interesting. I'm going to go Minnesota here. I think that Minnesota, especially last year, they got the experience. They won. Colorado. It's been like at least 5 years, right, since they made the playoffs. You would say?
A few years. I mean, the year last year's Tim Howard. I think year before Tim Howard retired, I think they made a run to like the conference finals.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I got Minnesota winning there. All right, the next matchup, we got Portland going up against FC Dallas. This one honestly is going to be interesting here. Dude, a part of me wants to see Fafa win, and it's not just because of Fafa, but I think like Dallas can generally win this game. I mean, remember what happened last year in the first round? They took it to the eventual MLS Cup champion Seattle. But I just think with what Portland's got over there, they're built for the playoffs. You know, they just won MLS's back tournament. I got Portland winning here. It's going to be a good one though.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight game, but I mean, yeah, Portland's built for this kind of situation. I can't see any reason why, as much as I would love to see Fafa and Dallas upset, I just think on the road, I think it's too tough of a game. And I think Portland's a tough place to play even without fans. So I see Portland winning.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the last game of the first round, we got Seattle and LAFC here. It's going to be interesting because we got some COVID issues here. What do you got? What do you see happening here, Justin?
Um, so it's tough because, I mean, I did see reports that, you know, 4 LFC players tested positive. Diego Rossi, Brian Rodriguez, Cifuentes, and Diego Palacios. From what I've heard, all players except for Brian Rodriguez should be available. Brian Rodriguez is a question mark. They're not 100% sure. I think they're leaning towards doubtful, but they're not 100% sure. As for Seattle, I believe Arriaga, center back, is the only one who may be questionable. But, I mean, LAFC has had a tough time going to Seattle. They showed it last year. They got housed in the conference finals. I can't see any, and with the way Seattle's been playing, I can't see an upset. I think Seattle wins it 2-1.
Yeah, I agree. I see Seattle. They're going to be on a mission here. I got Seattle beating LAFC as well. I see that. Definitely see that happening. All right, let's move on to the conference semis. We got I got SKC facing off against Minnesota. You got SKC facing off against Colorado. I think either or. I see SKC in the conference finals. I think Vermees has the missing piece of what he needed to go far in the playoffs. And I just don't think Minnesota and Colorado have enough to keep up with SKC. But what do you got here?
No, same. I think as much as regardless if I see an upset, I think Sporting KC, it's just, I mean, playing there is even without fans. Again, I'll say this is a big task. Yeah. I don't see either team putting up much of a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they win 2-0 either way.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, the other conference semifinal game we have. Oh, dude.
Cascadia.
Yes, I am so here for it. And honestly, dude, I think that especially Portland had their time, right? They won the MLS's back tournament. They're good on trophies. I see Seattle, the way they're playing. There's no way they're going to let Portland get them again in the playoffs. Seattle with the victory here, man.
Johnny, you read my mind. I think
dude, it's gonna be
great. I think Seattle, listen, it's going to be a tight game. Those games are always tight. But, I mean, Seattle's just born for this. When it comes to the playoffs, Smetzer is a coach that he just goes, all right, time to put on my serious cap and let's go into overdrive here and let's win some stuff. So yeah, I got Seattle in this game.
Absolutely. Well, the Western Conference Finals is interesting because if we're looking ahead at our Union in the MLS Cup Finals, these are two former teams that beat us in the U.S. Open Cup. So
bad memories.
I know. Let's not bring that up. But SKC and Seattle, who is going to face off the Union in the final?
That's a tough one. You know, I've been racking my brain about this, and I racked my brain about it for a while. I know it feels like an upset, ironically, them being the top seed, but I'm going SKC.
Okay.
I think in this situation, I think a lot of people would go with Seattle because they're the team that, I mean, come on. They were in the MLS Cup final, like 2 out of the last, 4 years. I think they've shown that they can do it. I have a feeling that SKC feels different this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they feel like they can contend. I feel like they shown that they can at least give teams a bit of a worry. So give me Peter Vermees. Give me the PA boy coming. Sorry, Jersey boy
South Jersey, baby.
coming back here and trying to win a MLS Cup on his home turf.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that SKC are going to win this game. I feel like Seattle are just going to be riding way too high up, and SKC. Vermees is going to get these guys ready. He's one of the best coaches in the MLS for a freaking reason. I got SKC winning the Western Conference Finals, and that means it's going to be a blue MLS Cup. We got SKC going up against our Philadelphia Union down at this. I'm assuming the Sub, right? We're gonna be
It's based on the points per game. We'd be down at the Sub, down at the Sub, and potentially like 20-degree weather.
Oh, whoa! You just ruined the image for me.
Hey, listen. I want a snowy game. I want that orange ball coming out. I'll take whatever ugly result that can lead to a Union MLS Cup.
Well, if it was a normal year, I would say I want it to link, but we'll just keep it at the Sub for this. So this is obviously going to be interesting. If you look at the match, even like when we faced them last time. I feel like Jim got these guys up and ready. Like it was crazy because we weren't sure like how they would keep up with this SKC team, like how we would neutralize Pulido, and we did work on them.
And then Brendan Aronson said, "Hold my money bag, Peter. I'm going to do some work."
Yes, he did. And he showed up Busio, which was awesome too. We got the better hungry. Look, this is so hard because obviously I want to say the Union are going to win this.
Is it really that hard, Johnny? Come on, no,
dude.
Go with your heart.
Hey, first listen,
true.
Justin. This is still Philly sports. Okay, we can say what we want. This is still Philly sports, and you know how Philly sports work. I hate these situations. I hate predicting my team in a championship. But yes, I think that everything that we've gone through this season, with COVID and all the social injustice issues that we've had and the Union being so vocal and upfront about it. Then you talk about Brendan Aronson going to RB Salzburg. Mark Mckenzie could potentially be out too. We don't know what this team is going to look like next season. This team is all in on winning it all. This is the best Union team that we have seen in a while. And quite frankly, this is probably one of the best MLS teams we have seen too of all time, honestly. I think that Jim he's over like coming up short. He's been through this how many times now? MLS's back tournament, the U.S. Open Cup. I guess you could say disappointments. He is ready for this moment, and this is going to be the turning point of Philadelphia Union soccer. We won the Supporter Shield, but there's nothing more. There's not going to bring anything else to. There's only that's going to bring Philly sports fans to the Union more than an MLS Cup trophy. I think the Union have enough for what it takes. I think we beat SKC in the MLS Cup Finals, and I'm going to be crying like a little baby. I'm not even kidding.
Man, you kind of almost took the words right out of my mouth here. Let's be honest. Beginning of the season, when I predicted the Union and MLS Cup final, God no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that the team's out now, but I would not even remotely have predicted what we've gone through this season. That being said, I think hosting an MLS Cup final at the Sub, regardless if there's fans, I'm not sure how that's gonna whole pan out. With PA going up in cases and county by county, as far as I know, the Union are still going to have fans on Tuesday. But assuming there are some fans there, I think Jim, to paraphrase his videos, he's going to say, "This is our effing home, and this could be our effing cup, and F those MFers." I'm paraphrasing Jim here. I may or may not be what he says, but I think it's pretty on brand considering the tight-laced Jim that we thought turns out to have a mouth of a sailor, and I love I love Jim for that. It makes me relate to him more than I think I
He's
ever
still
have.
Philly. He's still Philly.
Still Philly. Don't get me wrong. SKC is gonna not want to get embarrassed again. But you know what? I think it's the same scoreline. I think 3-1. And the Union lift the 2020 MLS Cup. And no effing asterisks. I'm looking at you, Alexi Lawless.
No ashes whatsoever. All right. Hey, listen, we hope that this is all true. You know, we've waited such a long time for this to happen for Philadelphia Union, and it would truly mean the world to us if we hoist the cup. All right. We will keep you posted, guys. We will have another episode right before our matchup against whether it be the 8th or the 9th seed to get you guys prepared for that matchup. But good stuff there. Okay, so but before we end this episode of Duke by the River, of course, you know, we had international break, and for Duke by the River, it was good and bad. So with the bad, obviously, with myself, I didn't want to talk about this, but Colombia looked terrible. Let's put it that way. Colombia in 2 games against Uruguay and Ecuador, we allowed nine goals. I'm not kidding, guys. No, you heard that right. 9 goals to both of
6
those.
against Ecuador. I was just like,
Yeah, 6 against Ecuador, who we own historically, and I know they're in their golden era right now, and these are some young, talented kids, but you still are Colombia with some of the most talented players in the world. It's unacceptable. And honestly, when it comes to Colombia, it is the same exact way I feel about the Philadelphia Eagles. Coaching is not using the talented players that they have to their best capability, making bad calls on the pitch or on the field, if you want to in football. Fan base freaking out and overreacting. Eagles fans, same way as Colombian soccer fans. Any little thing that happens, you know, we want to fire, trade. Obviously, you can't fire or trade anyone in international soccer, but you know,
you
it's
can
like
fire them.
you can fire a coach, but you can't fire the players or release the players. You can choose other players to call up, which it's interesting. But I mean, it's definitely heartbreaking. I don't know what's going to happen. This is crucial because you guys know, like CONMEBOL South America, that's such a gauntlet. You know, you really can't afford like a U.S. You know, back in 2018 World Cup qualifier type of, you know, relapse. You do that, you're really not going to. You won't have as many chances the U.S. had. You won't get a chance at all. So now Colombia sits, I believe, in 8th place now, or 7th place. I think we're still in the CONMEBOL qualifications. You need to be at least into 5th place to do the play-in for the World Cup in Qatar. But it's not looking good. It's definitely not looking good. But I am happy, and I will throw it to Justin because my fellow Americans get to rejoice because there is actually good soccer being played with the United States. How you feeling, Justin, about the U.S. men's national team?
Man, I honestly can't believe it. I mean, don't get me wrong, a 0-0 result against Wales is not pretty by any stretch of imagination. Not having a striker, why Sebastian Lletget was played as false 9, I have no idea. But getting against Panama, you, boy, have a bit of a rough first goal. I don't blame Reggie Cannon on that first goal. It's a tough play there, but the center backs got split and a header, 1-0. And then the kids took charge. You have a wonderful free kick goal by, as Erling Haaland would say, the American dream, Giovanni Reina, puts one past. Nicholas Giacchini, a very unknown quantity in Ligue 2 in France. Showed up with a couple goals. Panama comes back with 1. And then Sebastian Soto gets on the field. On loan from Norwich. Puts in a couple goals. Sebastian Lletget. And listen, we got a bit of a striker problem now. We have a bunch of young guys, untested, but guys that, I mean, even guys that weren't there. Ayo Akinola, Daryl DK. I mean, the guys that, you know, could suit up. And you also have, I mean, especially Josie's still one of the top top items. But you know what? It's whatever. The real question is, Greg Berhalter, what stops you pulling out to bring Yunus Musa into the fold? Because my man might be a winger for Valencia, but he looked damn good in that midfield trio there. I want Yunus Musa on the field regardless. He was one of the few bright spots on that field in both games. You know, him, Weston McKennie, and Tyler Adams are a dangerous midfield. It's a athletic midfield. It's a ball-winning midfield. No one's really getting past that midfield. The real question is, Greg Berhalter, where are you bringing this man? Because I know it's a pandemic world, but you taking him to Disney World. I mean, I know he's 17, almost 18 years old. Can't take him to Las Vegas. Can't take him to as I heard. Can't take him to Magic City. The real question is, what are you doing? What are you doing to bring this man to get cap tied for the U.S.? And honestly, I hope it's pulling out all the stops because Yunus Musa, you know, I know it wasn't exactly Panama's A squad. I mean, I know it's been a little while, since the World Cup, they've had a bit of a turnover, but I mean, those kids looked. It's promising. It's promising, yeah. And it's the most excited I've been about the U.S. team since 2014. I mean, it's been a long time. It feels like it's been a long time, and you know what? You got a golden generation. You got kids that by the 2026 World Cup, by the time the USA hosts a World Cup, these kids will be in the primes of their careers and may not even be in the prime, maybe getting close to that prime, but you're gonna still have a damn good roster. So I'm excited. So it's as rough of a first game as it was, the second game kind of showed that okay, you have that talent, you have that ability. Now let's go make a World Cup.
I'm jealous. I'm genuinely jealous. I can't say the same about Colombia. So I'm happy for you guys. And listen, I'll always be rooting for America. I am American first and foremost. So I hope that America does it. This country deserves a good soccer team to go behind as a nation. So good stuff there. All right, the guys, that is another episode of DOOP by the River. Guys, thank you so much for listening. It truly means the world to us. Don't forget to continue supporting PSN with the PSN radio that we're doing now. And make sure to also like and subscribe to Parcero Philly's YouTube channel. All the DOOP by the River video version of the podcast will be up there. So you guys can check out what Justin and I are doing during the podcast if you'd like. Ladies and gentlemen, over there we got Mr. Justin Freiberg. I am El Parcero Philly, and we're both telling you guys to DOOP on. Enjoy the games.